Hey guys, and welcome back to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. We are continuing the series that we are calling FPGA Gaming Heroes. This is part 2 of the series, and today we are looking at a developer known as FPGAzumSpass, or you may know them by their real name, Robert Peip. This is the developer that has made the impossible possible. They have brought us the Nintendo 64 core, among other cores, to the MiSTer FPGA. Now, before we had the N64 core, and even before it was announced, this was considered impossible. I've not been in FPGA gaming too long, maybe 2.5 years now, and I remember whenever talk came up of the Nintendo 64, it was always quickly met with no, it can't come out, it's impossible. So Robert Peip is someone that makes the impossible possible. In part 1 of this series, we had a look at Furtek. Now, the way Furtek works and the way he develops his stuff is he looks at it from a hardware level where he decaps the hardware, he understands how it works, and then he implements that into an FPGA core. Robert Peip gets the same result, but he goes about it a different way. Robert Peip works via software. So in the case of the Nintendo 64, Robert wrote his own emulator. He then tested that emulator, and that emulator was then created into an FPGA core. Think about the FPGA core as the final destination, and there's different roads that can lead to it, the software side and the hardware side. Now, the Nintendo 64 core, if you haven't played it already, it is excellent. The work that Robert has put and the work that he has done for this core is phenomenal. I was there when it first begun. I was testing it, and the reason I chose Mario Kart, because there's a funny story about Mario Kart. When this core was in early development, one of the first games, not the first game, but one of the first games that started working was Mario Kart 64, and we were racing black squares around the tracks because that's how the characters were rendered then. And then slowly everything started fitting together like an amazing jigsaw puzzle. But Robert Peip just hasn't done the Nintendo 64 core, even though that may be his biggest achievement to date when it comes to FPGA gaming. The other thing about playing the Nintendo 64 and the MiSTer again, there's a lot of good games on this system. I generally played this as a multiplayer system. We used to play GoldenEye, Mario Kart that you're seeing on screen, FIFA 98, Diddy Kong Racing, and just a few others. But when I played this on the MiSTer, I discovered games that maybe I would have never played. 2 games really come to mind: Beetle Adventure and Sin and Punishment. Anyway, let's have a look at some of Robert's other cores. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is always super duper appreciated. I do have a Patreon set up if you wish to further support the channel. These cores that I'm talking about aren't in any particular order, and this time we're looking at Robert's Atari Lynx core. The Atari Lynx is a fantastic handheld. It was very powerful at the time. It kind of lost to the Game Boy because, hey, you know what, the Game Boy just had better batteries. I was definitely a Game Boy guy. I still am, to be honest, but I used to play the Atari Lynx a lot around my uncles and around my cousins, and I think at one point I did actually own one towards the end of life when I didn't care so much about it. But the Atari Lynx core is excellent, and it's a testament to all the great work that Robert Peip does. It's available for the MiSTer. It's actually been ported over to the Analogue Pocket, courtesy of a developer called Bud2 as well. But yeah, amazing work from Robert Peip. If you haven't played the Atari Lynx core, play it, and this game's a lot of fun. This is Ninja Gaiden, the arcade game, and the Lynx had an excellent port. And a big shout out to California Games as well. If you haven't played that, Surfing, it's awesome. Now let's have a look at the WonderSwan cores, the WonderSwan and the WonderSwan Color Core. So these are very niche handheld systems. I really do like them a lot. I remember my brother buying a WonderSwan, or was it a WonderSwan Color, because they really wanted to play a Final Fantasy game that was out for it. They couldn't read Japanese, so I actually don't know how they got on with that. My cousin recently bought a WonderSwan. I did enjoy playing on it, but I have to say the D-pad was terrible if you're trying to play like the fighting game that's on there. And the fighting game that I'm talking about, they've got a version of Pocket Fighter on there that is a lot of fun. So the WonderSwan cores are excellent, both the monochrome or the black and white one, as well as the color one, as well as being on the MiSTer, which are original Robert Peip cores. They have also been ported over to the Analogue Pocket, courtesy of a developer called Adam Gestinyu. Again, great cores from a great developer. Let's now talk about the GBA, the Game Boy Advance. The Game Boy Advance for the MiSTer FPGA is phenomenal. It is amazing. What's really amazing about it, as well as having a one-player experience, you can actually play 2 players on one MiSTer. That's right. You just load up the 2-player version of the core and it will have link support for any game on the Game Boy that has link support. No need for a link cable. Plug in a couple of controllers, any controllers you want that the MiSTer supports, and you can play 2 players, have a versus battle on Advance Wars, Mario Kart, any game that supports multiplayer. I mean, this here is absolutely amazing. But what's even more amazing is Robert is now working on a new version of the core because he's discovered some new tricks. So he's making a cycle accurate version of the Game Boy Advance core. It will get rid of some of the features like turbo and fast forward and potentially save states, but it will be more cycle accurate. So I think that's a work in progress at the moment. This isn't to say the original Game Boy Advance core is bad. It's amazing and it's great to have both cores, and this core isn't going to be phased out. You're going to have both cores. You can pick which one you want, a cycle accurate one if you notice any differences, or you can have this one here with all the bells and whistles. And I feel like I have to mention that Robert is currently working on a Game Boy Advance game as well. If I remember the name of the game, I believe it was called Behind the Tibber or something. Hopefully I'm not wrong. It's like a bird's eye view. It reminds me a little bit of like the Minish Cap or something like Shining Soul, and it's like a roguelike. It's designed to be played in short bursts. It just looks really, really good, and it's amazing to see this FPGA core developer moving into homebrew or indie Game Boy Advance game development. To wrap up this video, we are going to talk about Robert's PlayStation 1 core, as well as his contributions to other cores in the MiSTer scene in general. So when I got my MiSTer a few years back, I loaded up the PlayStation core and I was amazed at how amazing the performance was. Loading up my favorite games, I felt like that teenager again playing Dino Crisis 2 for the first time. Now what's really good, like with most of Robert's work, this core actually exceeds the original hardware. Yes, it's fun playing stuff on original hardware, but sometimes the lasers can go where you kind of have to like shift your PlayStation around, where you have to like give it a little slap and then the kind of disc loads up. So there's a lot of elements here that the MiSTer goes above and beyond original hardware, including an overclocked version of the core with a faster CPU that improves frame rate in games. As well as that, you've got crispier and sharper visuals that definitely look better if you're playing on an LCD screen. There are lots and lots of different options in here that just make this core amazing. And this is what Robert Peip does. With the Nintendo 64 core, we've got a clean HDMI video output option. We can put stuff out in 480p. There's lots and lots of stuff in there that just exceeds original hardware. Robert doesn't stop there. He's also made a chess core. I haven't tested this chess core out. A friend of mine was telling me about this before I shot the video because I was like, hey, are these all the cores Robert has done? Let's just go through the main ones. As well as that, they pointed out to me that Robert is the person that's responsible for save states on the NES and the Game Boy cores. So if you've used save states on those cores, Robert was the person responsible. On top of that, they've made some major contributions to the AO486 core, which is a brilliant core that many of you guys like for that early era of PC gaming. So that's kind of it for this video, guys. I want to send a massive thank you out to Robert Peip, FPGAzumSpass. Love the work that you do and look forward to any and all projects you do in the future. So take this thank you from myself, Pixel Cherry Ninja, and the MiSTer FPGA, and even the Analogue Pocket community, because your cores have been ported over. So a massive thank you. Anyway, guys, be awesome to one another. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is always super duper appreciated. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.